Rogue One, a Star Wars story review with spoilers. What's up, guys? It's me. It's a Elite Double X Prince here to give you my review of Rogue One, a Star Wars story, and of course, I'm gonna give you guys some spoilers. I gotta say, if you haven't seen the movie, right off the bat, I'm gonna just say that it's enjoyable, but it has some problems. Obviously, not every movie's perfect. There's some movies better than others. This, is gonna be like a really tough one to review because it's the first ever Star Wars spin-off, and there's a lot of stuff to just kind of go through and think about. And people have been asking me, how do you rank these movies? Like putting every single Star Wars movie besides, like the Ewok movie or and shit like that. But I'm also including the Clone Wars movie, the animated movie, which is dead last in my list. But the way I would rank these movies with Rogue One, like, let me just say, like, from top all the way into Rogue One, I don't want to go through all of them, but number one for me, it's gotta be Star Wars the original. It's just one of the best movies ever done. A lot of people would say Empire Strikes Back is the best Star Wars movie, but for me, A New Hope just like brought everything and made Star Wars what it is today. And number two would obviously be Empire Strikes Back, simply for the reasons of why everybody else would put Empire Strikes Back at number one. So that's number two. Number three, I would actually have The Force Awakens, even though it does and is kind of similar to A New Hope. It's basically a modern New Hope, but it's a way to start a new franchise, and it was just a really damn good thrill ride with some awesome new characters, as well as throwing back some of the old characters just to get you kind of hyped for the rest of the movie. And just for like the rest of the next generation movies, it was just such a great movie. Number four, I have Return of the Jedi because it culminates everything about the great trilogy. It does have a lot of problems. Obviously, I hated the Ewoks. It had a lot of problems. It was more campy and it was more for kids, but it was still a great movie. Easily one of the best movies of all time. Maybe one of the best third films of all time. That's for me, Return of the Jedi, number four. Number five, I would actually have Revenge of the Sith, Star Wars Episode 3. Yes, the acting is crap once in a while, but I don't know. It's the first Star Wars movie I saw in theaters, and it just kind of like got me. It was what made me a Star Wars fan. Granted, it's not my favorite movie of all time of the Star Wars franchise, but it's like what introduced me to it. Yes, some stuff is choreographed, but it's a really damn good movie if you think about it. It's just one of those movies that is gonna stick to me, especially for my generation. Yes, all those problems that people have with it, I don't care, because this movie was just incredibly fantastic to watch. It was what made Darth Vader great. Granted, that no killed it, but I didn't care. This movie just touched me in so many ways. It was just such a really good movie. Revenge of the Sith, number five, and number six would be this movie, Rogue One, a Star Wars story. Yes, this movie is a lot better than Clone Wars, Attack of the Clones, and Phantom Menace. Where the fuck did I fuck up? Yes, but Rogue One is just a fantastic movie. Rogue One is a really good-ish movie, I would say. The director did have a lot of reshoots, and there's some that were noticeable, but not as much. Gareth Edwards was a questionable decision for this role. I'm not a big Gareth Edwards fan. Everybody who knows me, I hated Godzilla in 2014. It was one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life. So garbage. And I was worried when I saw that he's gonna direct this movie. But as the trailers went on, I'm like, this could possibly be the best movie of 2015. Not 2015, 2016. My apologies, I screwed up there. And sadly enough, it wasn't. It was a good movie, but not a great movie, I would say. And let me just talk about the problems that I have first, and then I'll talk about all the good stuff I enjoyed there. The characters were developed a little bit slow, but all of these characters were enjoyable, and they're all enjoyable. but I wasn't too hyped for them because they were all kind of like pushed real fast. Like the pilot, Diego Luna's character, uh, Kurt Inwe, played by Donnie Yen, Felicity Jones, obviously Jen Orso. You know, all these characters were just thrown in kind of fast, and they didn't give us enough time to know them a lot. But the main crew of characters were really good. I actually enjoyed them, even though they were kind of rushed. But I didn't care. One of the characters I just straight up did not like was Shaw Guerrera, uh, played by Forrest Whitaker. I like Forrest Whitaker. He was amazing in Arrival, but in this movie he was just terrible. His voice was ridiculous. It was like, I fuck, fucked up my voice too by trying to sound like him. It was terrible. Okay, he wasn't terrible, but like I could easily. I mean, it made sense when he came out in the beginning because it's he's the guy who saved Jyn Erso from the Empire. So it was cool that they had him, and obviously he's part of the Clone Wars TV show. So obviously they wanted to bring back nostalgic there. And his death, while tragedy, it didn't get me because the way this movie was paced, it was going slow then fast, then slow then fast, and it was like, okay, can you tell the story right? I mean, Gareth Edwards tends to like take things real slow, and then at the end just make it like such a masterful piece. And that's when I get to the positives later. The score I actually enjoyed. I actually want to talk about that more on the positive side of the review. What else I want to talk about? Oh, the main bad guy, director Osman Krennic. He kind of was like a letdown of a villain. He reminded me of Yellow Jacket from Ant-Man. How he wants to get credit for the Death Star. He wants people to be like, hey, look, are you happy for me? Look at the credit I got. And it was kind of campy. I mean, like I said, the cast here is fantastic, but I don't know. This character I cannot get behind. I don't know. It just didn't feel for me. And Peter Cushing, yes, rest in peace, Peter Cushing. But they bring back Tarkin in this movie, a CGI Tarkin, and I don't know if this is gonna be a trend going on in future movies. This kind of started back in Furious 7 with the death of Paul Walker, and they CGI'd him up, but that made sense, obviously, and it makes sense here that they brought back Tarkin. But I felt like if he was gonna be the main villain, they should have kept him as the main villain, and I would have been fine with. I would have been totally okay with that. But it was just great for what it was. Yeah, they could have just kept Tarkin as the main bad guy. I mean, you could take off this character Krennic out of the movie and nothing will affect it. I think that was it for all my negatives. There's really not that many negatives because overall this is a good movie, but there's a specific reason why I don't think this movie is fantastic or anything. I mean, it's a great fucking movie. I don't know, but I just wouldn't put it up there with one of the greatest movies of all time, as people might say. But let me just talk about the positive, because there is a lot of positive things about this movie. Like I said, the cast, even though some were rushed, they were all enjoyable. Donnie Yen's character, who played a blind dude, I really liked him a lot. He was funny here and there when they covered his face. He's like, no, what, really? I'm blind. Why would you cover my face? He was great, and I actually wanted to see a story of his maybe someday in the future. His chemistry with Malbus was great. Again, it didn't make sense because everything was rushed, but I was still behind the chemistry between these two best friends. It was such a great moment for them. The pilot didn't do much, but it did bring a lot good to the story. Overall, I think the story was really, really enjoyable. I think it was like, it made sense. It's basically how the plans got to the rebels. One of my favorite things about this movie is that it fixed problems from A New Hope that people had with the problems. Example, in A New Hope, Luke Skywalker destroys the Death Star really easy like that. And you're probably wondering why is that exactly, and they explain it in this movie because Matt Mikkelsen's character, play his name in the movie is Galen Erso, also Jyn Erso's father. Watching because I'm kind of tired and sleepy because it's a late review. He created the Death Star, but he didn't want to create the Death Star, so he made it easier for him to. He made like an easy spot to like shoot and destroy the Death Star like that fast. I wonder if this kind of goes in The Force Awakens, if there's another character that didn't want to create Starkiller Base and maybe explains that why. I'm pretty sure that's gonna happen in Episode 8. But it makes sense why he didn't want the Death Star, because he didn't want to turn his back on his family, because Jyn Erso was always like a good person in this story. And Jyn Erso easily carries the whole movie. She is easily the best part of this movie, besides K2SO, which I get to talk about later. Her and Diego Luna are great in this movie, and I'm happy that they did not make him love each other. Like, it didn't have to end with them kissing at the end. It didn't have to end like that. I'm glad that we're in an era where we're done with that, like, cheesy, generic main guy, main girl, let's have him be in love, let's make him kiss. I didn't have to see that, and it was great that we could finally get a movie with the main guy and the main girl just be friends and a team. I don't have to worry about them getting married. I don't have to worry about them, in a relationship. It's finally good to see this happen. Another thing, Diego Luna is maybe my favorite character. He was just a great pilot. He was so fun. He was a killer. He kind of did things on his own. There's this part in the movie where he's getting stopped by stormtroopers and he's trying to escape from them. And his friend, who I believe he lost his arms or his legs, I forgot what, but he was nervous to escape. And then he's like, I have to like get out of here, but you're not gonna help me. So he shoots his friend. He didn't want to, but he kind of had to, just to escape from the stormtroopers, because this guy, he kind of rides alone on his own. Well, then again, he is always with K2SO, which is by far the funniest character of this movie. This is a dark movie. It's a really dark movie, and the K2SO, it brings the fun in this movie. I think that K2SO was just so funny, and it needed to be that humor, because this is a different type of Star Wars movie. First of all, there's no opening crawl, and I was happy that this happened, because I love the opening crawl, but that should be stuck to the episodes and not necessarily the spin-offs. K2SO was like super funny. He just didn't care what came out of his mouth. My favorite part was when Jyn Erso's trying to lead a team to take on the Empire and steal the plans, and K2SO goes, Jyn Erso, I'm just gonna let you know that I am on your side. And then Jyn Erso smiles like thank you, and then K2SO's like, Diego Luna told me to say that. By the way, his name in this movie is Cassian Andor. I do know his name. I got my notes here, but he's like, Andor told me that I'm on your side. So he doesn't care what comes out of his head. And then there's this really funny part where like Jyn Erso was just shooting people back and forth, and she shoots a robot similar to K2SO, and then the robot is dead, and then K2SO just like, you did know that wasn't me, right? And then they're like, of course. It was this guy was just so freaking funny. He's so charismatic. Alan Tudyk, definitely he brought the fun in this movie. Easily the funniest part of this movie. I don't think he's my favorite character. That's still a tie between. He's up there as one of my favorite characters of the movie. So there's that. Also, of course, this does culminate with everything that's gonna happen with A New Hope. So I was just curious how close were they to the end. First of all, I like some of the characters that they brought back. They brought back Princess Leia's adopted father from you know, because in Revenge of the Sith, when Padme has her kids, they separate the kids. They send one kid to they send Luke Skywalker back to like the rebels and stuff. Not the rebels, but Tatooine. They send him back to his planet where Anakin was raised and stuff. But one specific character was there. Jimmy Smith, yes, Senator Bail Organa. He was in this movie. Obviously because he took Leia into with him in Revenge of the Sith, and then they do reference like Obi-Wan needs to come back, and he's like, I know someone, and I have all faith in her because you know, Leia is the one that brings hope to the galaxy. Which I'll talk about the ending when I talk about the ending. Yes. So there's that. So then we get to talk. I want to talk about the final battle next. The final battle is where everything just culminates to everything. You have people stealing the plans. They show how the plans are taken, but at the same time, it's a huge sacrifice to like do that. And everybody in this movie, the main characters, everybody you see in the poster. Spoiler alert, because this has been spoilers the whole time, but everybody in this movie dies. All the main characters, the pilot, Galen Erso, Churik Inmei, Malbus, K2SO dies. Actually, he's the first one to die. And when the plans are taken, the Death Star is shooting at the planet. And before I say this, but I'm so happy with the war and the style that the fight was taken with the whole rebels versus empires. This was a fucking cool visual movie. Granted, like I said, Gareth Edwards knows how to like culminate everything at the end. Then again, like his movies always start a little bit slow, but that was just like so good the way he just did it, correct, like really good. And it was just such a great like visual. Easily one of the best moments in Star Wars films. It was easily one of the best things I've ever seen, I gotta say, in a Star Wars film. But the movie kind of ends with like there's 3 different endings to this movie. I gotta be honest. There's 3 different endings to this movie, but the first one would be Jyn Erso and Andor. They're sitting in the beach as the Death Star planet. The Death Star is just blowing up the planet. They're hugging it out, and then they die. That's crazy. Like they all die. So those rumors about Jyn Erso being Rey's mom, Jyn Erso being married to Luke Skywalker, all those rumors about these characters, it's probably not gonna happen because all these characters died, unless if somehow one of them at least survived. It will be a crazy theory to predict, but that's just like out of like almost like no chance in that happening. Then the second ending of this movie would be Darth Vader is in this movie. Yes, he's in this movie for 4 minutes. And I don't care. But okay, even though I said that Revenge of the Sith was the first movie I saw of Star Wars in theaters or ever in theaters, besides Force Awakens, of course. You know, Revenge of the Sith, I was 6 when this movie came out, so I can't really get like a full memory of it. So I can't really remember Darth Vader coming out for the first time. So in the way, for me, this was the first time I ever see Darth Vader in the big screen. His helmet looked a little bit weird. I gotta say, James Earl Jones' voice is still there, but the way his head moved, it was kind of weird. Like his suit looked a little different. I don't know if you guys noticed it. It looked different. Nothing that doesn't take me away from the moment, because every scene with Darth Vader is just great. Even when he chokes out Krennic, The part where he chokes him out, and it was just like a great scene. It was such a great moment to see Darth Vader show up, and I'm like, that's it. That's how we're gonna get for Darth Vader. But no, he comes back a lot much later in the end, and it shows Darth Vader with a lightsaber just killing off everybody on his way. And then there's like this like big chip that eventually Leia gets, but the guy goes like, take this, and it was such a great moment. And then the whole Darth Vader just killing everybody was just a great moment. I'm glad that I finally got to see Darth Vader in action. It was the best moment for me as far as the Star Wars fan, because this is the first time I've ever seen Darth Vader in action in a fucking live action Star Wars movie. It was a great moment for me. And then the third ending of course was, so you see the back of Princess Leia. You know it's Princess Leia, and that guy's like, here's the thing you asked for. What is this? What does this mean? And you still don't see Leia's face, but she turns around. It's CGI Leia back in, it looked like in 1977. Carrie Fisher was in this movie as Princess Leia, but back in like in the 70s. And then she ends the movie by saying hope, and then the credits roll. Everybody's clapping because this is exactly how A New Hope starts. So once this movie ends, just click on A New Hope and you just see it all go down. That was a good moment. I still felt a little weird seeing CGI Carrie Fisher. She looked a little weird, but I get why they did it. They wanted to send us straight to A New Hope. So I love the movie. I really do love the movie. The more I think about it, the more it gets better for me. But I'm pretty sure I still rank it where I left it at, simply because I grew up with the other ones more, and I hated Attack of the Clones and Phantom Menace. And Star Wars is hard to like review once in a while. It's really hard to keep fans happy, because people that didn't like The Force Awakens say it's too similar to A New Hope. Then people who hate the prequels, like they're nothing like the originals. Like, you can't make a Star Wars fan happy these days anymore. And I think this is what makes this movie specifically so great. I went to go see this with my dad, my stepmom, and my sister. None of them, except my stepmom, are not Star Wars fans. My sister actually fell asleep through the movie, so there's no hope in her being a Star Wars fan. But my dad really loved the movie. And like I said, he's not a Star Wars fan. But when he saw this movie, this is the first ever Star Wars movie he's seen in his life. And he was interested in seeing this. So I feel like this movie was dedicated for the people who did not grow up with the originals. It's basically bringing people who kind of are either young or never seen Star Wars. This is their way of showing them what led to A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi. And I love that movie just for this reason. Also, it fixes the problems that we had with A New Hope, as well as showing some little Easter eggs, like showing R2-D2 and C-3PO. Yeah, I feel like this movie was great to set up and help the people who never got into the originals as much as us diehard Star Wars fans did. So that's what I really loved about this movie. Another thing that I would say, like, because like I said, this movie helped with the old movies, and I felt like episode 7, 8, and 9 is gonna help bring a new cast of fans, and it's a great way to bring everybody into the Star Wars universe. You don't have to be a Star Wars fan. I'm not saying that, everybody has to be a Star Wars fan, or else we riot. But this is a really brilliant way to bring him all invested into Star Wars. So that's why I feel like the spin-offs are great to bring in new fan base and get people invested in what made Star Wars great in the first place. At the same time, I feel like bringing spin-off in an era that we have so many spin-offs, it gets kind of annoying. How many times do we have to see spin-offs of every single thing? We had Minions, we had Elektra. We had a spin-off out of everything at this point. It's like almost like people run out of good ideas, but I'm not saying spin-offs are horrible. I'm saying that spin-offs feel lazy at some points. It got to a point that we're out of original ideas at this point in Hollywood. Like, some of my favorite movies this year have not necessarily been original movies, but they've been like movies that we've seen in the past before, but they told it in a different fashion. Example, Rogue One, A Star Wars Story. I think it was just a really damn good movie. I'm gonna give it an A minus because this is maybe my second favorite prequel of all time, right behind Revenge of the Sith. And I know I'm gonna get a lot of hate for that, but I don't care. I love Revenge of the Sith just as much as I love this one, Rogue One, A Star Wars Story. I did have a lot of problems, so that's why I set them in the front, just so we don't get like a confusion of this movie sucked, and stuff like that. It had some problems, but I still love the movie. I think it's a really good movie, especially if you've never seen any Star Wars movie ever. This might be a great way to do it. Also, if you guys don't like the letter grades, I would have to say this is an 8 out of 10. The same grade I gave Revenge of the Sith. Like I said, I still have a lot of problems with the movie, but it's still a fantastic thing to show to people. Again, some stuff are rushed, but it doesn't matter because Star Wars is different for everybody, and I'm glad to say that this movie is great. Is it in my favorite movies of the year? I wouldn't say so. There's so many great movies that came out this year, despite this being the worst year as far as the summer goes, because the summer sucked this year. I mean, the only thing I can remember was Captain America Civil War, The Nice Guys, Kubo and the Two Strings. Hell or High Water came out this year in the summer, but not a lot of people watched that movie, and I really recommend you guys to watch Hell or High Water. Stars Chris Pine from Star Trek. Definitely a must-see. Also, Star Trek Beyond was another good movie. But why am I talking about Star Trek? I'm talking about Star Wars. Go watch this movie. It's definitely a must-see. It's a must-see for everybody, I believe. And yes, the more and more I talk about it, the more I enjoy it. But again, I grew up with this. Depends on where you grew as far as a Star Wars fan. I really recommend it. It's just a really good movie to watch if you haven't seen it. And I'm pretty sure you all seen it because I spoiled the hell out of this movie. So I think again, I really enjoyed the movie, and the more and more I think about it, the more I enjoy it. I think that's it. I'm kind of getting repetitive at this point. I'll just pause it there. It's me, the ALE Prince. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. I'm going to be reviewing Roadblock, End of the Line on Monday because I got to go to a Christmas party tomorrow. But until then, I'm